Hey cool kids, for this month's sketchbook tour I decided to mix things up and do an actual sketchbook. I do still have a lot of old notebooks from like elementary school and early high school, but I just wanted to do a real sketchbook tour for once. And so this is what I used to call the Insomnia book, and I'll get more into the name behind it now, but it's basically just because it was small enough to fit in my nightstand, which was right by my bed, and so I could just grab it whenever I couldn't sleep. If you look here, I actually wrote the Insomnia book in black ink. It's kind of hard to see because, again, it's in black ink on a black cover. But I wrote that on the wrong side, so this side's the actual front. Also, there's this little ribbon, just 'cause. And this specific sketchbook, I don't remember the brand. I know if you look for sketchbooks on Amazon, this specific brand is like one of the first listings you'll get, but I don't actually recommend it just because it's falling apart. I don't know if you can really tell. And because the pages are perforated, if you turn them too much, they start to fall out, which I don't like. I know some artists like being able to just take the pages out of their sketchbook whenever, but I want to keep them all together and neat in one place. Also, just before we get into this, if you hear any children screaming, I'm sorry. That's my life. So without further ado, and we start off on a page with a phone number, which I'm probably going to have to block out, plus a lot of scribbling, because this is where I would try to get my pens to work, because I drew in ballpoint pen a lot during this period. By the way, I had the sketchbook from, I want to say, 2012 to 2015, or somewhere around there. So this first page is a drawing of Zoe Prozek from the Yogscast. If you look, I actually ripped out a couple of pages before this. I think most of them are in the back of the sketchbook though, but if I remember correctly, I did post the black and white version of this on my Tumblr, but then I had some like little felt tip pens and I wanted to like try coloring it in, and I didn't really like how the coloring went. And then we have Rivian, who, again, I posted the black and white version on my Tumblr. I really liked it, and then I tried coloring it, and I just did not like it as much. I remember I didn't color in the hair, because for his character design, he has blonde streaks in his hair, and I didn't have a good pen for that, so I just didn't color it. And then we have Teep, and I learned from the other two that they just don't look good when you color them in, so I didn't bother coloring this one in. This was from a project I had in junior year. It was a fairy tale writing project where we were supposed to write a fairy tale, and then we could either illustrate it ourselves or we could find images off of Google. And because I was like an artist and everything I did had to be artistic, I figured I'd illustrate everything myself. But then I never ended up finishing the storybook, but this was the first illustration for it. This was also more Yogscast fan art because like pretty much everything I drew from like 2012 to 2014 was Yogscast fan art. But this was Minty Minute, but I didn't like how that looked, so I did another one on the next page, which was Minty again. Well, I actually finished this one, and she's in a bowl of mints because her name's Minty. And I really like the design I did for the dress with the flowers like sort of descending, so there's more clustered at the top and then less at the bottom. And then the idea behind this page was that I was going to keep adding things to it, so we have a little planet right now, and then I added the rocket ship and the sun, but I sort of gave up after that and didn't really do anything else on this page. At the time I started the sketchbook, we were doing Zentangle in my art class, which is like drawing a bunch of repeating patterns, basically. And so I wanted to do an entire page of Zentangle, but I got lazy. This was for a Yogscast dress design thing I was planning, which I think I mentioned in another sketchbook, and how I didn't finish it because no one really liked the first post I did of it, but this was Rithian's first dress design. And then here we have some early concept art of Lucia, yeah! Her designs changed a little bit since now. I'll probably link the video where I redrew her in this video somewhere. But yeah, this was probably the first drawing I did of Lucia, I want to say. I had her for a little bit before I started drawing her because I always make OCs and then don't draw them until like years after I've made them, just because I'm a lazy artist. And then this page I did much later. I think I did it after I finished the sketchbook and I still needed somewhere to draw, so I just drew on the back of some old pages. But I'll talk more about the style I drew this in later. And then this was me playing around with the felt tip markers a little more, and I was trying to draw Lucia again. This is actually where she got the little markings on her cheek from because I messed up, and I don't remember what I was doing, but I I think I drew blue instead of pink because I grabbed the wrong marker here, so I was like, oh no, we'll just make that part of her design, it's fine, don't worry. And I accidentally drew too much marker on this part of the page, but I actually really like how it looks because it got so oversaturated that the colors sort of started bleeding into each other, and it looks really cool. And then this was just me scribbling around in marker. You should have seen me in my prime. I don't know. I like this one though. I think it's got a fun like little style to it. And then I wanted to draw Lucia again, only better, so I still did the same trick with the marker where I made it bleed into each other. And then this was another drawing of Menti, just sniffing a flower in the most uncomfortable position possible, because I'm not very good at making poses. Ah yes, this was during the whole Tumblr flower crown trend. I wanted to draw Sips and Shin with flower crowns, just to be like cool and trendy. Also, sorry if my voice sounds weird. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm like super sick right now. This was my OC Whitney. I was trying to work out her design because I had plans to write out a comic with her in it, and then I never did. So this is where the book really entered the Insomnia book type phase. I don't know that I ever really actually had insomnia, but in high school I used to have a lot of nightmares a lot, and so I would just like put off going to sleep for as long as possible. And I found drawing made it a lot easier for me to fall asleep, so I basically just draw until I was too exhausted to draw anymore, and then I would go to sleep, which wasn't the most healthy sleeping schedule, but like it worked. So this is because I had that one song, you know, the song that goes, smile though your heart is dying, smile, what's the use of crying. I had that stuck in my head, so that's why the lyrics are on here. And this specific character was drawn based off of different folklore surrounding the devil. So there's, I believe it's a Mexican folk story that when the devil appears he can change every part of himself except a hoof and a chicken foot for legs. And then there are also stories about the devil always appearing as an old man and then horns and that sort of thing, just because that's the kind of stuff you draw at 1 a.m. I guess. This picture actually took me multiple nights and several ballpoint pens to get through, but it was just a fun little thing to like scribble out all of these little craters all over the tentacles. And then when I got to the face, I was kind of scared of it blending in too much if I did more, so I didn't do any more little craters in the face, which I kind of wish I had, just so that way it would blend better with the rest of it. Also, these were called, I think I called them Sleepalos. They were based off of actually the Beefalos from Don't Starve, because and so they just became my little thing to draw when I couldn't sleep. Plus, it's just like a really fun design to scribble out. Please leave, please. No, thank you very much. I think that was me. I'm not sure. Yeah, probably me. This is probably, I don't want to say the first drawing I ever did of Lou, but it's the first drawing where I really started getting his design down. His face has changed a lot, but in the canvas for the story was created for, he's actually a miner, so he works in a mine. And so that's why I drew him with like a pickaxe and all this, and ridiculously long legs. And like, look, these feet are like as big as his head. I love it. And then this was Susie, who's another character from that story. And fun fact about this picture, it started out as a drawing of a baby. So these characters are actually from the same story Lucia's in, and the idea behind this piece was all characters who died off before the story began, spoiler alert. I like how with this one I started like critiquing myself on the side here, and then I fixed most of the things I had issues with. So like I said, her arms were too thin, so I sort of like expanded the sleeve to make thicker arms, which are still too thin. And then this was the style I was trying to play around with that involved a lot of like swoopiness, but I never could really get it down. That's also another thing I really like about this sketchbook in particular, is it's where I think I started really developing my current art style was in this book. And this was just a face which I scribbled out, one of the few pencil drawings in this sketchbook. And then this, I remember I was trying to make a joke off of John Locke, which is Sherlock and John from the Sherlock series. And so I was like, what if they were locked together? And I was like, no, that's not how that would look, and that's kind of weird. So then I drew this, ignore the bad grammar on this page, but I drew this, which was John locked in a cage, and then I was like, no, that's a little weird too, Melody. Maybe stop trying to make this joke. These are a bunch of t-shirt designs for my OC Tabby Cat, and this one I've actually drawn her in a couple of times. A lot of them are references to things happening inside the series, but Tabby's basic wardrobe is either political shirts or band shirts or a lot of like handmade shirts. So this I drew out in colored pencil originally, and I drew the nose too low, and so I sort of scribbled it out, and then I tried going over with ballpoint pen, and I don't remember why I still scribbled here, but it kind of looked like a Hitler mustache. That's why I wrote "oh dear" over here, plus because she had like sort of a doe-eyed, concerned look on her face. But yeah, there's that. Then these were also scribbled out in colored pencil, and I decided to line this one as well, I think with a Sharpie fine liner. Okay, so these are my OCs, Madeline, Chow, and Corduroy, and this was clearly done very late at night because I just sort of gave up by this point. This was originally going to be a drawing of a house, but I didn't like how it looked, so I made it a monster instead, because monsters are more fun to draw than houses. And then this was going to be an OC, but I really didn't like how this picture came out. This is sort of a self-portrait, even though the main character doesn't really look like me, but hashtag running from responsibilities. I think I was going into senior year at this point. And then this was one of my favorite pictures I did of Teep, Zoe, and Rithian. I actually eventually made a digital version of this drawing too, because I really like the concept of it. This was some character design. And then this, I think, was another moment where I had a song stuck in my head, so Spread Your Wings and Learn to Fly, which is that a Red Hot Chili's Pepper song? Maybe. Or one of those types of bands. Also, I was playing around with, like, ridiculously forced perspective, because I think that's always, like, a fun thing, so that's why there's a really tiny leg way back here. Oh, this was a little comic, which I actually want to redraw sometime, because I like the concept of it. So we've got this guy saying, "Worry not, friends, the beast is quite dead. I am on the inside, at least, dear traveler. And perhaps some friends were all I needed to fill me. I say, who turned off the lights?" And then this was the same OC from a couple pages back, which I tried to draw, but I still just couldn't get her design down. I don't remember why I drew these, but they're here. And then some more pencil scribbles. And this was a little fairy type thing I used to draw a lot back in, like, middle school. So this drawing of Tabby Cat actually sort of inspired future drawings of her from this point on, because before this she had a very different face shape. I really liked how, like, the anatomy of this face came out. And then a bunch of animals, just because animals are fun to draw when you can't sleep. And then some more sleep-a-lows, or were they zeep-a-lows? I don't remember. And this was an idea I had, but again, it was really late at night, and so I just didn't finish it. Okay, so this one is a joke which I have to explain because I don't know if it comes across, but it says at the bottom, "find your own light." So the joke behind it was the sun's right here, right? And if you look at the houses, the light's going this way, but then if you look at her shadow, it's going this way. So it was like, I don't know. I thought it was a funny joke when I came up with it at 2 a.m. And then this was from an inside joke with my friends because we were studying sonnets, and there was a sonnet about a deer, and it was also when John Green was super popular, so like instead of okay, it was dear, dear. I had plans to do a drawing my outfit type thing, but I never really finished it. But this specific drawing and outfit was from the Terry Fox run, because this was what I wore. The Terry Fox run is a thing they do in Canadian high schools and elementary schools and, I don't know, just all across Canada, where it's a run to raise money for cancer, and a lot of kids will, like, dress up in super ridiculous outfits. So all my friends and I planned to dress up in tie-dye, and then I was the only one who actually showed up in, like, all decked out in, like, rainbow tie-dye, and I was like, thanks, guys. And then I had a dinner later that night for the club I was in, and so I had to dress up all fancy, so. Okay, back to the sketchbook tour, so I had to take a little break because my siblings were fighting right outside my door, and then the sun went away, but the sun came back. It's the next day now, so let's see, where were we? Ah yes, art. At one point I had plans to do, like, a life comic about myself. Like, you know, all those daily comics like Sarah C. Anderson or Al Turd. And I started trying to design the me type character for that, but never went through with the comic because I realized my life is boring. Oh man, this was one of my favorites actually. I like to call this one Lipstick Isle. I was just playing with characters' proportions mostly, but I really like this one, especially this girl in the middle. I planned on like drawing out a whole background for this piece, but as we've already worked out, I'm lazy. And this was more Yogscast fan art. This is Lottie and OC from a story I was planning on writing but never really finished because I didn't like how it went. This is Lil-Up, and she's from the same story as Tabby Cat. Sorry if you can hear kids in the background. I had plans to make this a whole digital piece. The joke was a Minecraft joke of Honeydew digging up and there would be lava above him, but I don't know why I just never actually went through with that. And then this picture I actually really liked. I was just scribbling around with colored pencil, but I like the shapeliness of it and like the subtle shading. But then I drew this one on the other side, and because this was drawn with pencil, it transferred over here, and so now this is dirtier than it should be, and just And then these are drawings of my OC Abbott, because Abbott's fun to draw when you don't have anything else to doodle. This was for the 100 themes challenge on DeviantArt, and this theme was rot. I had this idea of a girl whose back was like rotting out. I don't know why, but this was my initial sketch for it. I never actually finished it, and I kind of just dropped the challenge. Oh no. Okay, so this was during NaNoWriMo, and this was a character Gregory in the story, and Gregory is basically just this gelatinous mass with a face, and so I was trying to draw that, but I realized he looked like a dick. So there's that. So this was drawn either while I was watching the December Yogscast live stream or like re-watching it, based on the stream where Zoe read out fan fiction. And then this is going to be a big page full of like OC couples I had, but I only ever drew one for a story, which I ended up dropping. This is just a little doodle of my OCs, Chow and Madeline. And then this was my main character for the NaNoWriMo book I had been working on. I wanted to try to work out some of the outfits she had over the course of the series, because she had some pretty interesting looks going on. And then these are both just some doodles. For my 18th birthday, one of the gifts my parents got for me was this pack of glittery gel pens. And I don't know if you can see it because the glitter's sort of faded over the years, but this is still pretty glittery. Although I did find that it takes ages to dry, and so if you accidentally like even bump it, it'll smudge, which I ended up using on this picture to do like this cool blush effect with the red eyes. This is, by the way, my OC Patricia. She's for the same story as Tabby Cat. And I was gonna do Zentangle again in like all the letters of the name, but again, I'm lazy. Okay, Edgy McDarko. So this was the scribbling type art style I had been talking about earlier in this tour. It's just my little brother throwing things outside my door because I won't let him in. And yeah, I had watched this movie called North Sea, Texas, where the main character, I think his name is Pim. I haven't watched the movie in ages. He draws a lot, and he has this very like scribbling type art style, and so I wanted to try to like imitate that, and I really liked how this came out. Like, it's probably one of my favorites in this whole book. And then this, I remember I drew it because my ex, he was my boyfriend at the time, he had been texting me or messaging me because we mostly talked over Skype like a whole night long, and I was like, please, I just want to go to bed, just stop sending me messages. But then whenever I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go to bed now, he'd be like, wait, I still want to talk to you more. This romance is dumb. This is the very first picture I ever drew of Lou and Lex together. The joke behind this is that Lex is most of the time a lot taller than Lou, but I thought it would be cute if like at one point in their childhood, because they grew up together, Lou had a growth spurt before Lex and grew up taller than him. That was the joke behind this. And this was just me scribbling around with some Crayola colored pencils. This was another just random doodle, but I like how it came out. So this, I think, was an unintentional style steal. There's this artist who, I'm not sure if she still goes by Soyeru, but that's what she used to go by, and she has this very distinctive style, and I remember as I was trying this, I was like, hey, this looks kind of familiar, why? And then I realized it was because it looked a lot like a sort of bad copy of Soy's style. This is my OC mother, and This is such an obscure reference. Maybe not that obscure, but there's this one joke called Tea and Cake or Death. You can look it up on YouTube. But I was trying to reference that here with her having the tea and the cake. Remember, for this one, I wanted to draw a Cyclops, but then I didn't want to draw an eyeball, so I just gave him a mouth instead. And then there's this one. There's this beautiful work of art, which I think was me trying to draw Mother, although I'm not sure why her mouth's like that. And then this was a follow-up to the one on the previous page, and I wanted it to be intentionally more loose and flowy. I think there was about 2 months in between these two. Not that you can really see any improvement. This was an OC for a story I was working on, which I'm still not sure if I'm ever actually going to finish, but I know I've mentioned before I went through this phase where I drew heads like really ridiculously long, and this was from that phase. And I don't remember what this was referencing, but I think it was referencing something. And this, so I'm the kind of person who I don't ever want to get married, but I want to have a wedding, and more importantly, I want to have a wedding dress. So I was like trying to design my dream wedding dress. These are some OCs. This one's name is Megaroth, and this one I still haven't named, but came from a dream about a boy who was like piloting like this humanoid mech, which was this character. And I still want to work on that story because I still like it. Then just a random girl. And another random girl. And another random girl. Oh, and then because it was the last page of the sketchbook, I spent forever just like putting off doing this page because I wanted to do something really big and special. And this is what I did. But it's not quite over yet because, as I mentioned, I have a tendency of ripping out my sketchbook pages. Or they'd even just, if they'd fall off, and so for all of the pages that would like fall out or I'd rip out, I'd draw something on them and write some like fake deep type phrase or something on them. So this one was Beauty's Heart is Pure. This is the beautiful work of art on the back. I think I was trying to draw Susie. And this is, and they say punk is dead. And this is the drawing on the back, which I remember why I tried drawing this, but it just didn't come out how it did in my head. Never forget who you aren't. And then just a face, which I think was probably a drawing of Zoe. And it must be time to head home. And I remember this one specifically. It was because I was doing behind the scenes work for my school's production of The Wizard of Oz. And then on the back was some English homework for that same English class where we had to write out a comic for Macbeth. And it was another project which I got really far on but never finished. And then this is Prom Queen 201, and more from that Macbeth homework. And then Hoppy Easter. I thought it would be cute to draw a girl with like a skin bunny on her head. And then I tried drawing the same thing on the back, but I didn't like how it came out. And then Do Something, which was because we got this little piece of paper at school when our school installed these, what are they called? Plaques? Is that the word? No, pillars. These pillars in honor of the Aboriginal. I don't know what it was, but I really like the paper was printed on. And that's everything for this sketchbook. I do have another sketchbook from the same brand, which I bought for the same purpose of being an Insomnia book. This is it. Although, if you look inside, I've only filled it up about this much, so about halfway. Partially just because I've gotten better about going to sleep. So I haven't needed it as much, which I guess is a good thing, but I would like to fill it someday. But that's all I have for this specific sketchbook. So thank you so much for watching. If you're new here, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. I do make new sketchbook tours every month and new art videos every week. But either way, thank you so much for watching and hope to see you next time. Bye.